Well, I am Usaywa Sally, and today I'm joined by my amazing anchors. Hello, Alera and Milola Tiwa online. Hi, Honorable Milola.
That's the queen.
I'm loving my outfit. It's so gracious.
That's
like
it.
I'm feeling like $1 million.
That's how star do. Right?
That's how Milola women do, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, this is so nice, and the detailing is amazing.
It's beautiful.
I really love it.
I love the glitters.
Yeah, subtle embellishment.
Very nice. I love it. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Every time she's around, you
You're
know that I have to
different.
dazzle. How was your day, Milola?
Oh, today's been a bit on the slow. For one, I didn't want to kill myself over. I had to tell myself, Milola, just take it easy. You'll be fine. Because, sometimes it's about the state of mind. Our stress and our trouble start from our mind. So I've been a bit on a chill today. I've been in production before heading down to the show.
Things to happen.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yes.
Nice.
Awesome. Okay. So today we have an interesting conversation. Decided play of a few in leadership. Now this is actually interesting because sometimes we feel as Nigerians like our House of Representatives, they are not representing us at all. Now, so the House of Representatives is the lower chamber of Nigeria's bicameral National Assembly, while the Senate is the upper chamber. The House of Representatives has about 360 members who are elected in single member constituency using the plurality system. Now, members serve 4-year terms, and the Speaker of the Nigerian House of Representatives is the presiding officer of the House. Now, Honorable Olusegun Olulade is here to discuss the House of Representatives and its relevance. How relevant are they? We've been talking about this. We'll keep on talking about it. But first, let's take a break to see what we found in the news. All right, you're still watching Ways or Bota. Now, the idea to celebrate International Mother Tongue Day was the initiative of Bangladesh. It was approved in the 1999 UNESCO General Conference and has been observed throughout the world since 2000. UNESCO believes in the importance of cultural and linguistics diversity for sustainable societies. Now, it is within its mandate for peace that it works to serve or to preserve the differences in culture and languages that foster tolerance and respect for others. Linguistics diversity is increasingly threatened as more and more languages disappear. Globally, 40% of the population does not have access to an education in the language they speak or understand. So nevertheless, progress is being made in mother tongue-based multilingual education with growing understanding of its importance, particularly in early school learning, and more commitment to its development in the public life. So, I say again, Obota. So how do you say good evening in your mother tongue?
In Yoruba, Ekrole.
Ekurole.
Iriale.
Iriale. As an Ishekiri woman.
As an Ishekiri woman. Iriale.
Iriale.
Sounds like
who
Yoruba.
says
Yes.
Migwo? Migwo is
Migwo
Urobo.
is Urobo.
Urobo.
Yes.
Esan will say
What do you say that in your language?
in Benin, yes, now Obota.
Obota.
Obota, yes. Then in Hausa language you say Inagajia, Inaini. Just yeah. So
You tend towards Hausa more than even your own.
yeah, I know vex.
I cannot hear you say, I was bred and bring Kaduna. I was there to say, I beg you, can you
I did they
chill?
born me. Omuta den arewa ina geswa. Yeah,
The
Cookie.
Northerners must love your loyalty
Oh
to
yes,
that.
yeah, Cookie. I actually love the North. I'm a diehard fan of the North.
I can tell.
See, I'm in Nigeria.
Oh, there she goes again.
Yeah.
Can we move on quickly?
Are you starter?
I am jealous. I wish I could speak Hausa. I find the
Exactly what I was
language
going to
very
say. Like, I love
fascinating.
their language and their culture. It's something that I've always wanted to learn. Speak
Not much
Hausa.
for their culture, but more like the language for me.
But the thing with language and schooling, because I learned Yoruba in school, but it's just to pass exam. You just cram.
Which school? When you were in the
When I
Kaduna?
was in GSS, yes. Now, so we in GSS we had a major language and a minor language. So language 1, language 2. Language 1 is usually the one you're strongest in.
Yes.
Language 2 is the one you are trying to learn. So a lot of people used to do, I know even nearer Igbo, I couldn't even for the life of me understand that language. But Yoruba was easier because my mom is very fluent. She was born and bred in Lagos.
Yeah,
so in fact, when they want to gossip with her siblings, it's always
when
Yoruba
they
language. They speak, even up till now. They all live in the US, and if you see them with their Yoruba, you would think that they are Lagosians. So that was how come it was easier for me to pick Yoruba as a second language.
Yeah.
So when I picked Yoruba as a second language, I could read, I could write, I could do everything in Yoruba.
Wow.
Like
But
just
you
to pass
can't
exam.
speak it.
Almost, I can't. You know, so when I see my children now getting A's in Yoruba, I say, don't worry, very soon you lose it. So that's why with them, they take their French very seriously. I'm making sure they don't lose the language. I tell my sister, please speak with them, you know, because I know how easy.
Yeah.
You can be very good with book language, but
and when it comes to speaking it,
interaction
it's a different one.
It's not easy. You know, so I would really. Do your children speak the language though?
Yoruba.
Yes.
Ta ta ta.
Wow.
I kukuma speak to them.
Okay.
But you know they have a attitude of speaking it back to you in English. When you talk to them in Yoruba, they just
You have
said,
to just make them
I need you to speak Yoruba.
respond to me.
And they attempt it and I laugh. But really, I believe we should always imbibe our children to speak our language. I think one of the reasons that makes it easier for us growing up is because that's our official language. That's what you speak at home. But now we communicate with our children in English.
Yes.
So it's a bit tough
And
for
all
them
of that has to stop,
to
honestly.
take that language.
Honestly, my children are really upset with us that we're not teaching them Hausa language. They're so upset.
Because your husband speaks it and you speak it so fluently.
My husband, in his mind, my language is watered down, so he cannot converse with me in Hausa.
Are you
Yes,
serious?
like it's an insult. As far as it's concerned, my Hausa is like,
Yes,
you know,
learning.
learner. So because he
interesting.
speaks the conch Hausa, so he doesn't speak to me in
At
Hausa,
all.
it's English. And I've told him, I said, you are the one doing your children because
He's
you
the
are-
one that should have
yes.
taken it up
That
to
was the
teach
same
them.
thing that happens to me too. Because I mean, growing up, my dad is Shekiri, mom is Ijo. They can't speak any.
Oh,
It's
wow.
only when relatives come to the house, you're not hearing. What you're not hearing saying? You're speaking in Shekiri. I'm like, I don't know what you're saying. Don't embarrass me.
Joy, we've taken a lot of time.
boy.
Okay.
Yes, we have.
Let's
Language
face what you
day.
found in the news. Halera, what did you
Let's
find
go.
for us in this? We're going to run through this.
Okay. NAFDAC raises alarm over circulation of contaminated pomo in Lagos.
Are you serious?
Yes. So the National Agency of Food and Drug Administration and Control, NAFDAC, yesterday cautioned members of the public to be wary of contaminated animal hides and skin, popularly known as pomo, being sold in Lagos State. Director General of NAFDAC, Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, stated this while announcing the seizure of a large quantity of the product and seven importers in Lagos. She warned members of the public, particularly consumers of pomo, against the activity of unscrupulous businessmen and traders who are selling industrial animal hides and skin for human consumption.
Jesus.
This country.
I mean, the general public needs to be aware of this because I mean it's causing more harm than people even imagine. She stressed that the danger of consuming the toxic pomo include risk of liver diseases, kidney diseases, heart damages, increased risk in plastic anemia, central nervous system, and toxicity with cancer. First of all, pomo has no nutritional value.
but
Don't tell that to
like
Yoruba
it.
people, oh.
Stop it.
Like, it doesn't
Stop.
have nutritional
Don't
value.
stop
Then
it.
why would people be washing pomo or washing animal skin with chemicals just because they want to preserve it? And that's actually causing more
Is it
danger.
that part?
So are you
Even the
telling
what
me
about the
that
ones that
both
burn-
of you on
they
my
burn
right hand
tire?
and on my left, you don't eat pomo?
I don't
love
like it. I don't like it.
Actually do love
You eat it?
I don't like pomo.
Okay.
I mean, right from when I was in secondary school,
There's
they
no
say
how.
in food and nutrition, pomo does not have nutritional value. Since
And that was
then-
what you anchored it on.
Yes, and I stopped eating.
I think beyond the preference for pomo or pomo consumption, it is really horrible that our people
Are doing this
Profit.
like
I said
from
even outside of
people's-
people that wash it with chemical, there are people that use used tires to you know when they want to burn out the hair.
yes.
You know they've always been warning us about that. Now you now add chemical to
So,
it.
like-
That's crazy.
And the annoying thing now is that if these people are doing this, you're doing it to humans that would eat it and probably fall sick and die. And people will be wondering, where is your sickness coming from?
I think it's really cruel
It's very
on
bad.
us
Really,
to,
really,
bad.
it's really
To
to be
cruel.
mindless of how we do business just because
Want to make
we
profit.
think that
Profit.
it doesn't affect us directly and
That's
we let
wickedness.
business desire drive on that good conscience.
That's wicked.
It's a
Completely
horrible
unfair.
behavior.
Yeah.
For me, what I have in the news is about Jakpa. President Buhari seeks partnership with EU to stop the mass migration of Nigerian youth. Our president is really concerned about the brain drain going on in the economy, as so many Nigerians are moving abroad for greener pastures. President Buhari seeks partnership with EU to stop the mass migration of Nigerian youth. And he mentioned that during a meeting he spoke at Brussels in Belgium on the 6th EU-African Summit, seeking partnership with European countries to stop the trend. And according to an article published on the Politico offline magazine, Buhari said, by 2050, Africa's population of 1.3 billion is set to double, making up a quarter of the world's total. My country, Nigeria, is set to double its population to 400 million by then, surpassing the United States to become the third largest nation in the world. So if you really have so much people, I wonder why then our president is making effort to stop Nigerians from going into the diaspora market. But I believe the choice to migrate or to stay put is a personal decision.
Yes, it is.
If you have a functioning system and a well
Nobody would want
sustained economy, I think nobody really wants to live outside of this country. I had the privilege of schooling abroad, and I know for a fact I wasn't going to stay in the UK. I had my return ticket even at the time I was taking my courses. So, but then, for someone like me who is naturally entrepreneurial, I find Nigeria an enabling environment to thrive. For people who are wired to work, they would naturally prevent a structured working economy to a Nigerian system. So I believe what the government should work on is enabling and to make sure that our environment is enabling enough that people really want to come into Nigeria as against living in Nigeria.
True.
So the conversation should not be about trying to partner with EU to stop Nigerians from migrating. It should be about how can we
make
work
Nigeria
together
better.
to make Nigeria a better place
Absolutely.
for even the white man to want to come to Nigeria.
They're already coming. Trust me, they see what you're not saying.
Exactly.
But you know what? Let me take my story quickly. I wanted to sell my Olympics gold medal before I became a bus driver. This is from Obieku, the 1996 Olympic gold medalist. Now, Kingsley Obieku was a member of the Nigerian football team that won the gold medal in 1996 and the former Super Eagle defender. He has transformed from being a tire mender, a bus conductor, and now a driver. Tana Ayinja writes that Ayejina rather writes that Obiaku's tough battles of life, you know, of course, we all know the story. When you're not able to make any ends meet, you find ways to, you know, to survive. So this is basically the story of this guy that was once, you know, celebrated, you know, for winning a gold medal in Nigeria. So I think I have a bit of mixed feelings because I read a few comments who were saying that pray you never find something like this that happens to you. But I keep on saying that in this country is where I've seen that you are very wealthy, living in a rented house. People don't think long term. They don't think investment. They don't think insurance. They don't think so many things. So when you see things like this happen, I mean, my husband had driven a downfall bus before, but that was when he was trying to look for a job. Do you understand? But I wouldn't say that we have that culture of saying, okay, let me save for the rainy day. Let me invest for the rainy day. We don't have that investment culture. So we will still go back to that investment culture, the savings culture we talked about. We'll bring more guests to talk about it because you cannot overemphasize investment.
Financial planning is
Financial
very
planning is one of the
important.
biggest things because
Very.
and there's a prime. You have a peak period where you are actually booming, everything is happening to you and all of that. How are you maximizing that for a later date?
years?
Do you understand? That is a simple mathematics.
Even having a retirement plan too
Yes,
is really
we
important.
don't have that.
Because I think what everybody basically is thinking is what you're contributing to your PSA, like your pension system at the moment, will
It's
serve
not
you, but it's not.
enough.
Because by the time you retire, probably it's a particular percentage that you'll be collecting,
and it
might not it might not even be able to cover your bills, your
Absolutely.
children's, you know, a couple of things might not be able to be sorted. So you have to
Unfortunately, we run out of time.
Right.
Let's bring in our guests. We want to discuss House of Representatives. Milola and our guests.
Milola
We'll face you
Tiwa.
people.
right.
is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and listen to the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
I will do everything to take Lagos out of the national grid.
Thanks for staying with us now. The Constitution has vested in the House of Representatives the power to make laws for the peace, order, and good governance of the Federation. The House of Representatives also has broad oversight functions and is therefore empowered to establish committees of its members to scrutinize bills and the conduct of the government institution and officials. Now, what is the relevance of the House of Representatives to the common man, and what impact are the members, having on our day-to-day living? Please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663, or you can tweet at us at WaysHowAfrica1 with the hashtag Wayshow. I have to quickly hear your thoughts in 1 minute, so I'll bring in our guest. What do you think the relevance of the House of Representatives is to you, Alero? I don't want to go to Honorable yet. What do you think? Do you think they're doing a good job? Do you think they're...
I mean, I'm hoping to see the things that I would really want to see.
Representative as well for Ogun State,
That's correct.
How do you
Ijebu East and
Ijebu East and Ijebu North. So tell me, what do you think the relevance, of your role going into that house would be to us as common people in Nigeria?
Very interesting. Now, this is a chance to talk about manifesto, but I'll try not to discuss my manifesto yet. But I believe, by and large, the importance of the critical function for why we have members of citizens as House of Representatives is to be able to represent their constituency, their members. They are the direct access to government in their local. So you're naturally supposed to be able to get in touch with your local environment, understand the needs of your people, and then escalate it. You're the bridge between the people and the government. That's why you're representative. So a lot of things are part of the functions and responsibility of a House of Representative member. But the primary function is to be able to mediate between the people, connect the government to the people at the local level. For me, that's pretty much a primary function. Okay. So it is out of that you then start to say, okay, you want to make bills, you want to pass laws, you want to drive projects, and everything that goes in between.
Absolutely. All right, so let me bring in our guest. Honorable Segun Olulade served as former chairman of the House of Committee on Health Service, as well as former chair, House Committee on Information Strategy, Security, and the Publicity in the 7th Lagos State House of Assembly. He moved several motions at the floor of the Assembly. Few of them are the motion to compel teaching of indigenous language in primary and secondary schools in Lagos State, motion for immortalization of the late Afrobeat legend, social crusader Fela Anikulapo Kuti, and many more. He is the first lawmaker in Nigeria to start informative radio program for constituents' feedback and engagement efforts. He is also the founder of the Elenion Cares Leadership Foundation, which partners London School of Economics in England and Leadership Institute Virginia in the United States of America. Honorable Segun Olulade has bagged many awards, amongst which are the Outstanding Lawmaker of the Year in 2012, Legislative Excellence Award same year, and Most Media-Friendly Lawmaker in 2015. Honorary Citizen of Georgia by the state of Georgia in the United States, and a lot more. And he's a friend of the house, and he's joined us live in studio. Thank you so much, Honorable, for coming.
Well, thank you for having me.
Thank you.
It's nice
Come in.
having great women around me like this.
You're welcome to the
in
show.
an evening.
Yeah, yes,
And
sir.
also that we also have
A fellow
aspirant. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Honorable, for joining us. I mean, this is actually very interesting because I have actually worked closely with you over a period, you know, and I've seen the work you've done. I mean, it's not just reading accolades. You're actually one person to look out for because you do stand out. So the current challenge that we have is that Nigerians, up until now, because I think the awareness is coming a bit better now, up until now, Nigerians were so concerned about executives. We're thinking presidents, we're thinking governor. We're not thinking who are the people that would represent my interests. You know, when eventually there is a governor and who are the people that will be on their head with the hammer, say this has to happen for my people. We were not thinking that, but now everybody, I think, to some extent, is now aware of the importance and the relevance of the House of Representatives, you know, the Senate, you know, in the local state, that's the House of Assembly and all of that. So people are now paying more attention to the kinds of people that we are voting in those positions. So tell us, first of all, what do you think this relevance is? How important is it for us to get the right people into those House of Representatives? Well,
I would first of all like to say that it's not just about House of Representatives. We talk about the legislative arm of government and talked about the Senate, the House of Reps, and the House of Assemblies of different states. Like you rightly said, a lot of people just felt if you are not in the executive arm, you are not part of the government. But the real people that will represent your interests are the legislatures. And unfortunately for us in this part of the world, people do not even, what have you done before? If you have not been part of any political party or you have not been in an office before, you must show us what you did even within your family. The
private sector.
As a private person. And I am not always in support of people who do not have a steady income before coming into office or before contesting. You see some people, they don't have such steady income. So they look at politics as a means of making money. And that is why we continue to have issues. One major aspect of, like she was talking about, is representing people, but there is another aspect of governance that we must not overlook at all, and that is the oversight function of members. And unfortunately for us in the House of Rep now, we have about 360 people that are encouraging people now that you must go and get your PVC. You must get your PVC, you must join political party. I was in a church on Sunday and I told them, I said, look, every one of you, you just believe that you can just back people, politics is dirty, and that is a way to keep good people out of politics. They keep telling us politics is dirty and nobody wants to join. But now, when we talk about legislative arm of government, that is where your budgets every year is being prepared. No matter what the executive prepared and brings to the parliament is dead on arrival. It is the members of that legislative arm of government, and that's why you see at times they increase the budget. At times they remove some aspect of the
budget. They amend the budget.
Yes, of the budget of a particular ministry and put it in another ministry. Why do they do so? Why do I have to take something from your, because it wasn't well prepared, and that shows you why it is important that we must have people, credible people. You can't just we have currently in Nigeria. Tell me how well you think they're doing, how well you think they're represented. Performed? Yes, have they performed? You know, and what's your assessment of them? Let me just leave it. Well, there. To be sincere, this current legislative arm of government, they've done well in the area of oversight and in the area of representation. Some of them is not all, and that's why when we look at it, I would give them maybe 65 to 70, because percent. Because I have seen a situation where they were doing things that affect, like what she was talking about. I saw a bill by a member of the House talking about if you are a member of, or a government official, you cannot travel with government money for medical trip. Those things were going on before. But now somebody is coming on in some government establishment. So we're looking at a situation, and that's why we will continue, because we have other people who are not doing anything. We keep believing that everybody at the National Assembly are not doing well. But until you start scrutinizing them one after the other, you will discover that we have a lot of them that are doing well, but we can do better.
Thank you.
I have more questions, but you guys should go ahead.
No, you can go on and ask the question. For me, I don't know, well, you said a lot of things. One of the reasons why people ask why you run for office and why you're running for House of Representatives, for me, if I choose to answer that question, is because out of the many functions of a House of Representatives, 4 stood out for me. And that is lawmaking. They do corrections to defective law and amendments. They are in charge of control, public funds, and they do investigations to the executive arm. You pretty much are controlling a larger chunk of what happens at the executive arm of government. And for me, that's one of the best places to make significant influence and impact. And also, as a representative, you're in direct relationship and contacts with your constituency if you do it as you should. If you're able to really follow through on your promises, on your commitment as a legislature, you should be able to get in touch with your people through either town hall meetings or even physical meeting at your own place of residence or your own constituency office. So there is no better way to directly affect lives than holding such offices. Because for me, when I thought I was going to run for office and I was going to run to be part of governance, I looked at where would I be most effective, and that office gives me the best platform to be able to add significant value for me, and that's why I'm running on that platform. And I've had people ask me, why are you doing federal and why are you not doing state, House of Assembly?
Why are you not starting from?
I've had people ask me, why are you doing House of Representatives? Today I had a chat with somebody and he was saying,
Senator.
you know, no, Kule ran for Senate, you know, and was asking me, Milola, the only thing I know of you was you were in civil service. Now you're doing your private business. And you jump from going into politics and you want to run for House of Representatives. That's a tall order. Do you have a godfather? And all of these questions always,
we need to ask Eleni.
Always come out.
Do you have a godfather?
and it made me wonder, is it that I'm so naive or I'm so big on faith? Because people actually do not expect you to start from where I'm starting in politics and vie for such a position. But because I know who I am and I know what I can deliver, I see no reason why I should start at the lowest rung of the ladder.
Let me ask Eleni this question, because of godfatherism is something that is really big, because everywhere globally people have godfathers, right? So, but the challenge I think we have in Nigeria is how it now becomes like you are doing the bidding of somebody else. So you are just like a figurehead, but you're doing the bidding of somebody else. But tell me, let's break down, let's demystify this godfatherism. Can you help me do that?
Well, when we talk about godfatherism, is what happens, like you have rightly said, it's like having a mentor. For me, it's like having a mentor so that you can as well, she was talking about engaging the constituents. So when you are engaging the constituents, there are things that you can't get everybody all together at the same time, but you have stakeholders meetings. Those stakeholders have levels. They are the one that will pass it across to others. So it's just like an administrative office. So you know that in every layer of your administration, there are people who you can relate with. Every department, there are people you can talk to in this particular department. So when we talk about godfatherism, even in church, we have God's son, this is my godfather, and all sorts of things. Why do we now have to criminalize the issue of godfatherism in politics? Is something that is universal, and is like you can even that shape my thinking and my reasoning and even my disposition to issues, because I have seen the way such people have handled issues. If they have done it in the wrong way and they made mistakes, which is also normal as a human being, then I also know that I cannot follow that route that they pass through, that I can go through another means.
Okay. Let me take a break.
A situation where your godfather now become lords over you, then that is where
but that's what we get in Nigeria. But let's go on a break. We shall be right back. Stay with us. All right, so if you just tune in, we're having an amazing chat with Honorable Shemo Olulade on the House of Representatives and its relevance. Please let us hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-84663. You can also tweet at us at WaysShowAfrica1 with the hashtag WaysShow. All right, so you're going to say something on godfatherism?
Yeah, I was just going to weigh in on, just to buttress what Honorable in the House said. If you're ever going to go far in life, you have to leverage. And for me, if I've ever grown this far, is by standing on the shoulders of giants. If you understand the power of leverage and networking, then you will never undermine the role of leadership or mentorship. Without a doubt, there's a lot of abuse in our system. And it is not peculiar to just the political space. But because the politics is one thing that is a lot of public people have public opinion about, it's easier for us to put it in that term. Without a doubt, you would need people to leverage their skills, their network, their resources, and their experience in order to grow significantly in politics. I remember when I just started, I was a rookie, and I've learned so much by conversing, by talking, by counseling, taking counsels with people who are seasoned politicians. Now, the part where you surrender the custody of your mind and the control of your life and your welfare to a godfather is where I draw the line. Without a doubt, there are people, everybody loves control. If you allow any man to take control or take advantage of you, you would find yourself in that situation. So I do not think having a godfather in a real sense is bad, because I've had people ask me, who's your godfather? I say, Jesus Christ and the Nigerians are my godfathers. But does it mean I do not want people? Of course I want people. I was talking to one of my egbon today, and he said, be careful even how you form alliances, because then you start to come across as if you've already taken side. This is some of the challenges with politics in Nigeria.
Let's go back to House of Representatives.
Okay.
Godfatherism is interesting, but I want us to go back. So when we picture what the House should look like, what do you think the possibilities are, for what can become if truly we have a function? Because I don't totally agree with you that these people have gotten a pass mark, right? I don't think so. I think there has been a lot of redundancy, right? But it cannot be so. There has to be some. We fight. Disagreement to agree. Yeah. But we don't see that. It's almost like everything it just enters. So what do you think? Your picture for what the House of Representatives should look like, because 2023 is a year of a lot of shifts. A lot of things will change. Yeah. We're experiencing a new government, so we're not seeing a continuity anymore. The Buhari administration would end, and a new, fresh one will start. So how can we leverage that to get the right people, both in the executives and in that house, the federal house?
Now, let me first of all start from the relevance of the House of Representatives. We have seen we operate a bicameral legislature in Nigeria, and the House of Representatives, the reason we need it is for equal representation. If, for instance, just imagine, and for the grassroots to be rich. Now, for instance, if we just have 3 senators in Lagos State, how do you expect those senators to understand what is happening to them in Ajeromi, Ifelodun, in Nekpe, so it will be very, very difficult. And that is why we have those representatives to man their own different constituencies within the state, and it will give room for those layers of interactions. And when you talk about a legislature fighting always, it might not always work that way. We can disagree as a legislature. We have 360 people as legislature. Look at Lagos State, for instance. I was there for 8 years as State House of Assembly. And yet, it's not that we do not disagree. So many times we are disagreeing, but the issue is that we disagree to agree. And we settle all this things. We don't need to start throwing chairs like we used to see in some clients.
That's what Sua is expecting, because she has seen a number of that, and she thinks that's how it's supposed to be.
No. We don't need to do that. And you can see that we're having a situation of recent, about this last weekend. I'm aware that the other aspect also, because we always believe that until they start fighting, that is
They're
when
not
they are
working.
doing anything. They might be fighting and they might be taking away your money. When you sit down and see what is going on at the parliament, and you see them that they are always having a means, especially in a mature parliament, where they have means of dialoguing with the executive. If I have something to say, I could recall my first time at the House of Assembly, and I have an issue with roads in Lagos State with my own constituency. What do? I wrote the governor, BRM then, and I said, you have done XYZ roads in Lagos State, but you have not done any road in my constituency. And it was like, why? How? And I put down, he said, where do you get this figure? I said, cross-check from your
From your record.
From your record. And at the end of the day, he came back and said, okay, which road are you nominating for us? You understand? So I have to give out, so because I did my own work very well.
Is this supposed to be
like
about
that?
lobby?
Yeah.
I don't understand.
No, that is because we have 360, we have 40 at the state assembly here. So everybody wants everything to come to their own constituency. So if you don't lobby, at times you might not get it.
Hey,
So you need to lobby people. You need to take them from their own point. If we have this cup to share among the four of us, I must find a means to talk to you, to talk to her, and ensure that even if she is not going to agree with me, but the two of you will just say, let us give it to Elenio. And that is what lobbying is all about. And that is what, as a legislator, you must.
House of Representative members.
Yes.
Your salary is crazy. We're complaining that the economy in Nigeria. Would you guys start considering?
No, I've not got there. Don't
Wait now, when you get there, when you start considering, will you start considering not collecting money? Just maybe like a sitting allowance, like something small, like thank you
like
for coming, like a stipend. Because we are complaining that the system, the government is over bloated, right? We do not have money. We're borrowing money to pay salaries. That is crazy, right? So are you guys considering, how can you work towards, reducing the overhead of the federal government?
Yeah, thank you very much for that question. It's both ways. How would I traveled to Germany some few years back, and we went and met with some other parliamentarians from that part of the world. And I asked the lady, I said, she has been at the parliament for almost 24 something years then. I asked her, have you done any empowerment before? She said no. I said, okay, have you ever done anything for your constituents, as in maybe somebody is doing naming ceremony like we do here, or somebody is school fees you need to pay, or you need to
support people.
Or support people in one way or the other. And she told me all through those years she has spent at the parliament, that the only time that they have a storm that affected one particular area, that she now raised fund for them, and that was
all she did.
That was only what she has done throughout those 20-something years as a parliament. But here you can ask her, since they started seeing her posters, they will have started sending her some invite, making requests for school fees, for her to come and do naming ceremony. So it's in both ways. If we must have genuine people, then it will get to a point that I wouldn't need to collect even those allowances that we're talking about. She was talking about maybe she just have to start from the House of Rep. I beg to disagree. You can start as a councillor, and in that particular aspect that you are serving, you know you are going there to serve. And that's why in this part of the world, you can't be a governor and come and serve as a councillor. They will say something is wrong with you. That is our mentality. And that is what is affecting everybody around here. The society does not support what we are talking about. Until when people...
I beg to disagree.
Okay.
Because you know why? If you are talking about paying school fees, paying what's it called?
Supporting
people for hospital bills, because those are the things that my child never goes to school and all of that. Shouldn't you then fight for the better healthcare? Shouldn't you be the one fighting louder for better education? Because that's the thing. If we understand our role, as the federal constituency and the House, that you are fighting that every single constituent in Nigeria has one of the best schools, you know, that can compete globally. Yeah. You don't need to, nobody will come and meet you for school fees. You say, oh, there is free school somewhere.
I told you to take it.
You know, so this is what because I hear this all the time. They say salary is coming, you have to buy RAM. You don't have to do anything. If the system is working, that nobody's asking you for a penny, that there are things that people can.
Everything is in place.
Everything is in place. But you don't need to have. You don't need that money for that.
Unfortunately, we don't have those things.
So how can we fight? Is that not your job as the people that fight
yes, in the
you're not aware of the state of this country, and you're comparing a developed country with a developed country with an underdeveloped country. One thing about Nigerians is that we're highly entitled by culture and nature. Trust me, the reason why people would bring their needs and their responsibilities to you is because they believe that because you're running for house or because you're in government, you hold them that, irrespective of whether you have done any community work or you have done anything to support the system. Trust me, when it comes to looking at the situation of salaries and not, we are looking at the cup as either being half full or half empty. We should look more at creating wealth in the country. So much so that the salaries of legislatures become infinitesimal when compared to the wealth of the nation. I'm not saying this to support the fact that the salary is not really large, because when I heard about how much they earn, I would not lie, I'm looking forward to earning that money. And if it was you, my brother, I'm not going to have that conversation now. And if it is you, really, you would want to earn that money. But then, it's about not just receiving that salary, but actually earning it. There's a difference between when you earn the money because you have worked and labored tirelessly for it, by making sure that you support and you are defending the people that you're supposed to be representing. We should look at more avenues to wealth, and whether we provide laws or do all the functions and the responsibility of a legislator or not, Nigerians are Nigerians. They would always bring you demand. Whether you've been able to bring free education for all, you've not had a situation where people will tell you that. I've had people talk to me about, oh, I was going to sponsor a child for a job or a scholarship, and the father said, that's that child. I want that money. Give me my own share. The child will be all right. People sabotage themselves for self-interest. Wow. And it's not just about people in government, but even Nigerians. Sometimes they would rather you give them fund than do any community project that will benefit the masses. These are what we see when you go canvassing and seeking endorsements.
Okay, there are issues. Let me also portray what she just said now. A situation where somebody is saying, let us give you a transformer in your area. And the area boys are saying, we want money before that transformer can be installed. Right. What can we
They sabotage.
Why are the area boys there in the first place? That's my question.
This is a developing country, man.
Who empowered those area boys?
Nobody empowers them. Nobody empowers them. The society empowers them. You have your own children. You can manage what you have. There are people who are giving birth to children all over the country. They cannot raise them. Those boys turn to anything. I was watching something earlier today. I saw about 7-year-old boy that is smoking Igbo. So when you look at such issues, who trained that boy to be doing that?
So that's what I'm saying.
So it's the society. Every time you drive around here, you see people knocking your windows. So whose role is
it to clean up that society? That's my point.
It's a collective work.
I've not heard you in a minute, but we have like 1 minute to go. Go ahead.
What I've basically been thinking about really is everybody's worrying about the presidential election and the gubernatorial election. Who is actually asking about the community and the constituency, the people in the local government that are supposed to start from the grassroots? Who is going to actually fix all of that? What is the plan for 2023 to ensure that the people in that neighborhood or in that community actually would vote the right people in that will actually serve them right? So what are you going to advise the people to do, basically, so that this can be solved? Because, I mean, everybody will come with their problems and with their... we want you to help us.
You have the last minute.
Okay, now, let me be sincere with you. What we should be looking at for are credible people, people of integrity, people who have pedigree, who have antecedent of what they have done. And if you don't have such, if you don't have the experience, if you don't have what you are bringing to the table, the value you want to add to the system, you don't have any business coming into politics or representing me as a constituent. So it is the responsibility of everybody to understand that it is not those 20 naira or the rice or the 1,000 naira that they are going to give to you for you to go and vote for them that matters. Yeah. But who is this fellow? We must start asking questions. Where does the fellow get his or her wealth from? Who is he or she? Where is she coming from? Those are the questions that we must ask. And what does he have to offer?
Honorable Elenia, I'm going to bring you back, don't worry, because we don't have time. Because I was going to say that this thing you just said, it is you, politicians, because you have joined them. Politicians.
So now I'm on the other side.
I am a citizen today. It is the politicians that have created these people, right? Kept them undereducated or poorly educated, kept them in that perpetual state where they feel entitled to think that they need to collect money from you to be able to vote. You created this monster.
I understand.
So how are you going to solve the problem to correct the monster that you have created?
Oh, wow. Let me tell you, one of the things that is missing pretty much is lack of education and adequate information. People do not even know who they should place the demand that he plays out on. A lot of, we're talking about, just like she said, gubernatorial presidential election. A lot of people are not even aware. They don't even take any interest whatsoever in the legislatures or the councillors or their local.
That's what we're paying attention.
So we need to enlighten people. Let's take this, let's use our voice, let's use our platform to enlighten people adequately.
The importance.
Yes. Okay, people need to know. Okay, we'll continue this conversation.
Alayo, you have 1 second. You have one thing to say?
Well, all I will say is that please, this coming election, get your PVC, get ready to vote, and also ensure that you belong to a political party. And if you need my advice on joining any political party, please join APC. And with that,
this man has changed the conversation.
No, I'm just saying that if you need
as a party of
need advice from me, if you need
which party to join,
or which party, I have that responsibility to say that you can join APC. But without that, please join a political party and be involved in politics.
We're going to bring you back. I hope you come back. Because when it's getting closer to that time, I really want to now hear your full-time manifesto. What exactly you have planned out for your people. Because I know you do work. But this conversation is not so much for you and Milola. It's more for the awareness of these things. Because we created these monsters. We have to find ways to solve the problem. That's what we're here for. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. Yes, I did.
Thank you. Thank you, Alera. Thank you, Honorable Milola. And Honorable Shego Olulade. All right, so before we go, do ensure you follow us on Instagram at PlusTvAfrica. You can interact with us further, drop a comment, and more importantly, follow all our social media engagements, like, share, invite your families and friends to watch and follow the conversation. Now, if you missed today's quote, here it is again. The House of Representatives should not be locked down by the decided play of a few in leadership. This is very powerful. They should actually be independent and have their own voice to do their bidding, and why they are there. We should see the impact of why they are there. We'll see you guys live tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Enjoy.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Vicky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.